You're listening to Tuned In with Raph and Nick Webb.
We are rolling live from the lab studio.
Take two.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
Oh,
So,
bro, that could have been so bad.
Unfortunately,
I gave the best intro of all time and we weren't recording. So let me just do it again. I'll just do it word for word.
Rewind. Yeah.
Welcome back to Tuned In with Raph and Nick Webb.
Yeah.
Today, we're joined by the most talented artist out of the Sutherland Shire across the road from an Anglican church that I know, Matt Charleston. How you doing, mate?
I'm great. It's good to hear those same things again, because it kind of makes me realise that might actually be true. Like, it's great.
It is.
Yeah.
We're coming to you live from the Lab Studio, the best studio, not just in North Strathfield, in the entire Sydney. And we're just going to kick it off. We'll just have a ramble.
Sounds good.
Let's
I'm
go.
super keen. Let's do it.
Sorry for the do-over.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
We were just saying how professional.
That's something that you
After-
can't do on radio. We were talking about being on radio and actually like not having headsets, and that's kind of like what has got us realizing that we actually hadn't pressed record. But like, no, this is fantastic. This is a beautiful space.
To think we were just saying how professional we are as well. We suck.
No,
But
this
it's
is
all right.
great. This is great. But like,
We
and
exude
at least,
professionalism.
unlike radio, you can do it again. Like usually
That's
with the
it.
radio, it goes straight on, and you know,
And if you stuff up, you stuff
yeah,
up.
you can't take back anything that you just said. I just said terrible things before. I'm so thankful that we're starting again.
I saw a video the other day of some girl live, like on the news, doing the US national anthem.
Yeah.
And she like cooks it because like she's doing like all this
Yeah.
extravagant stuff. And she's like, I fucked up. Can we redo it? And he's like, you're live on air. And she's like, oh shit.
no.
Like she buckled hard. It was pretty embarrassing, but
Really?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, see, I know for sure that like I've had plenty of people who have kind of been doing like they're not those big singing competitions like Australia's Got Talent and things like that, but they're doing like those warm-ups. It's not Tiny Desk. I can't. It'll come to my mind when we talk for
Is
an
it a
hour
Sydney?
or so. No, American. And I remember it's just like a little underground kind of acoustic thing. And I remember they'd done all the intro, and the guy, hyped everyone up. He's like, on a separate camera in a separate room, and he's like, and now we've got da-da-da-da who's getting ready to sing for us, and she's going to be singing for us her first song from a smash new single, da-da-da-da, whatever it was. And then she starts singing, and similarly cooks it. I'm going to need to think of what this thing is now. It's going to be stumping me this whole talk.
So it's like a tiny desk.
Yeah, it's kind of like a tiny desk, but it's like it's like a dimly lit kind of like New Orleans kind of style bar kind of, video production thing.
It's not. You said it's not Sydney, so it's not
No.
Triple J.
It's definitely
like a
definitely
version.
American.
Okay.
And this girl, like, she sings, and it's not so great, very pitchy. And she gets halfway through, and she's like, "All right, cool, ready to start?" It's like, "Oh, mate, you've been going." Like, it cuts to the other camera. You've actually been going like this whole time. Oh, okay, second song anyway.
Far out.
Absolutely kills it the second time, but no, it happens. It happens. It's not just you guys. Fear not.
Thank you. That makes me feel a little bit better.
No, all good. All good.
Maddie, why don't you tell us what you've been up to recently?
Not a lot of music, actually. We're actually just standing and having a chat before. But like, I've been working a little bit more this year. It's time to actually start make a living, My parents have actually been saying to me this whole time, the last maybe 2 or 3 years after 2 years ago, I was doing a national tour and traveling all over the place and pursuing the music career, studying music. My parents are just like, it's always good, if you're ever considering to get married or if you're considering to do X, Y, and Z, it's good to have a full-time job. Anyway, I picked up a full-time job, and it's it's one of those ones that just takes you down a step. I'm a high school teacher now, so we're teaching teenagers, people very much like Raph, but a little less better looking.
Thanks, mate. Thank you very much.
But teaching out at a school in the Sutherland Shire, moving over to the down the south coast, close-ish kind of, and teaching at a private school next year, which will be good.
How fun.
But the hustling never stops. The songwriting still happens.
Good.
So I'm looking forward to finally getting some stuff out. It's been a long time.
Because it would be a big L for the Sydney music scene if we didn't get any more Matt
I don't
Charleston
know. Well, why
music.
couldn't it be a big win? I've been in everyone's face for a long time.
No.
and
No, I think,
Nah, mate.
I think,
No
I
chance.
think we have to make this very clear right now. If you're listening to the podcast, pause it, go onto Spotify, go onto your streaming services, your Apple Music, put in Matt Charleston,
Yeah.
and go listen to the music. I think we need to bridge the gap between the podcast and actually going and supporting the artists who come on. They've given out their time and energy for us. I think the least we can do is listen to the amazing music they make.
too kind.
And yeah, I have no doubt that you might have a different Spotify rap this year, a couple more
Yeah. Well,
top 5% fans.
I sure, yeah, exactly.
After this.
I sure hope so. Isn't it? It exponentially grows like the stock market, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
every year it's meant to go up.
You hope so,
yeah.
right?
I do know that I stressed out one year. It was about 2 years ago that like I had a drop instead from my previous year, and I remember just kind of like freaking out and losing it because you're just like, oh, I'm not doing something right.
Yeah.
But hey, welcome to the indie scene, I guess. Like,
Yeah.
it's like the hustle never stops, and like you'll see, it's interesting how everything drops off, how the engagement drops off, and it's both a blessing and a curse, which means that like if you kind of wanted to take a step back, you're not kind of like flooded by everyone. But it's a curse because it's like every time you're just wanting to keep momentum, but you're stuck. Like we were talking about being dry as a songwriter, actually kind of going far out. I have no content. I've been sitting on nothing for like 3 months, and people are expecting me to still be there.
Yeah.
And then you see it drop off. It's like demoralizing. It really brings you down. And you're just like, far out. I actually don't have, it looks like I don't have the attention, and I've got to build that attention back up, algorithms and everything. And it's a lot of work. It's a hustle. You would probably understand that. I gather that you're a songwriter as well.
Yeah,
Like,
I make
musician.
music as
So
well.
you would totally understand. Like,
Yeah.
what's
We're against the machine.
Yeah,
That,
exactly.
that big social media machine,
Yeah.
just churning artists in and out every day.
I often wonder, like, there's a debate and a conversation that I think I've at least had with several musicians here in Sydney, and when I was going around on tour nationwide, like last year, and actually kind of reflecting on, like, you look at guys like Michael Jackson, or you look at your
I've heard of him before.
yeah, I know. I think Michael Jackson, or you might have heard of Eminem, and you might have heard of like,
Diddy?
like Diddy, or like Elton John and things like that, or like these, the white people's classic guys. You know what I mean? Michael Jackson bridged the gap, but everyone else, like, these are the those artists were around at a time where there wasn't the social media scene. And you often wonder, how the heck did they break through? Michael Jackson sure was slaved to death to do it.
Yeah.
But like, you look at the other artists and you're like, how did they do it? Was it easier back then to what it is now? Like, now there's, with social media and the competition between and the competition between so many artists, and people can just release music at a push of a button.
Yeah.
Like the industry's so crowded. I often wonder that, it might be easy to release music, but it feels so much harder now. Like, you're just like, these guys just, they just rocked up and started playing music. And but then again, you often forget, because it wasn't full of a social media world back then, there would have been artists hustling, trying to get to that point, doing the same thing as us, but without social media, without the ease of being able to promote your music and getting it out to a broader audience.
I think it's both easier and harder. I think it's more accessible now, for sure. And we can say that just because of the fact that the industry is more crowded, which means that more people are able to get their foot in the door. So by that sentiment, it surely must be easier. But I guess for people that don't necessarily rely on having all the production in the box, using a Logic or a FL or a Ableton, whatever, it does mean that, well, it's a negative that it's more cluttered, I guess, because if someone like yourself, are you classically trained?
I was, like, I did piano for like,
because you're extremely, you're amazing up on stage, like.
Well, like, you could say, like, see, it depends what you mean classically trained. Like, you look at someone like a Bronson Valentine Jones, or a Jack Hollis or someone, like the two guys that play with me, who've all got perfect pitch, but they've also got incredible music knowledge. Like they've sat down and Bronson goes to the con. You have a chat with Bronson, you say, I remember talking to him, asking him where he goes to study, and I said, "Oh, where are you studying?" "Oh, I study at the con." It's kind of like that. I study at the Conservatorium of Music in Sydney. He's like, "Where do you study?" "Oh, I study at Western Sydney." "Oh, Western Sydney."
Speaking to a peasant.
yeah. But like classically trained, I think, sure, there can be ability there. But I've done music all my life. I used to be classically trained. I used to play piano and I learnt all the theory. That's gone out the window now because my songwriting's all about what I hear up here in my head. And as I hear it in my head, it's like, okay, well, I'm going to try and match that. And whatever that works, I make my own theory from it.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, where were you taking that? Where were you?
Well, I was going to say so because it's more accessible for people that might not have as much music theory knowledge or are not as classically trained, having everything in the box and having everything so easy to use means that you can literally open up your computer in your bedroom one day and make music. And if, by the grace of God, you get lucky enough, you could post it online and it would just blow up.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's definitely it's easier, but it's harder as well for people, I guess, like yourself who prefer to jump into a studio where you have people that know how to use everything already. They didn't need the ridiculous advancements in technology that we've had over the past 15 years.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the taste in music has changed as well. We've moved away from the whole
play with a band thing, and it's like the one man band.
Yeah, it's like everyone's like, oh, I'm just a Tame Impala. I do everything myself.
Yeah, introducing Tame Impala,
wow.
Ed Sheeran.
It's like you could never have done that 20 years ago.
100%.
So I guess for people like Tame Impala, it's easier, but for you and your maybe artists that are more like you, it is more difficult.
I think there's still, I guess it comes down as well, there's still relevance to playing live. You experienced this for the first time only just recently playing your own gig. Do you play around much?
Yeah, I was on the lineup with Raph.
Oh, there you go.
I did a couple shows.
Freaking awesome.
Shout out Zenos and Lady P. I was at the block.
The gang.
And,
I love Zenos.
I did a Halloween set as well. But it's been fun, 100%.
Well, see, you were talking about there's an element of being able to do it all yourself, but then when you play, there's, we often think that the artists who are, able to kind of just push something together, press a button and make their music and they've got something out there. There is also an element of, it's kind of like the fading art, the fading art of performing live. And live music still has relevance, but people aren't really realizing it. You'll notice that the bands that are doing well, especially in Sydney, right? So I haven't played around a lot, and you'll realize that your engagement drops off. Then you look at guys like Vinyl 45, who are next level, who will be playing around every week or every second week, regularly. They're pumping that as well. So we've got the industry of people who can just press a button and release music, and they've got good things there. They don't need to be classically trained. It's a blessing and a curse, the whole sample system, drag and drop, get your library, you guys would know that. Go online and you download your samples, your hits and things. I use them too. Don't hear me saying that you guys are any less,
Don't talk down on us, Matt. What's going on?
Leave hate in the comments.
But no, there's no hate in that regard. But definitely I find that, there's the artists who will go that way, and then there's the artists who, like myself, kind of like what you were alluding to, where you have to have a band. You have to go into a studio and play with a band. It's hard to do it by yourself at home. It costs money. And in order to compete with the industry, the influx of all these people who are just releasing music, yes, that's a blessing. The social media scene is such a blessing, but money is only you only have so much money. So you go into a studio and you're pumping out music, but then you're like, oh, far out, that's $6,000 gone. Like, you know, and you gotta kind of reset and, you know, stop and go, all right, I'll save up another $6,000 and I'll do another record. You know, yeah, it sucks, but it's great at the same time, I guess. Yeah.
For your creative experience, I'd love to get a little bit of an insight into the way that you write and compose your songs, and then jump in with, is it always the same band? Like these are things that I think I know, but like I've never really like asked you quite up front about it. I think because Nick and I have such a different way of making music. So to you.
Before I answer that question, do you guys, I know you will kind of go away and you'll put together your beat and track, and then you'll usually hit up a featuring artist to come in and you'll work together on lyrics and rapping together, like, and then like, how do you kind of attack?
I don't know. I'm not musically inclined in the sense of I can produce. Like, I don't know instruments. I don't know music theory at all. I don't know anything.
Cool. So on the other side of the kind of, you know, spectrum.
Yeah. So I basically seek out production. Yeah. Once I have a finished track, either from YouTube or recently I've been working with producers or I've worked with Raph. Yeah. I'll write my lyrics, record, mix, master, release, market, all from the bedroom.
Yeah, right. So you're just an awesomly talented singer.
And it just becomes the best song you've ever heard.
Cool.
No, but it
just happens like that, magic.
Before,
on the other end, it is such a blessing to be able to do that for a multitude of reasons. Because one, once the initial payment of what needs to be done, computer, plugins, it's all set now.
It's all there.
So the maximum cost I'm going to go to is for the cost of the production. Yeah. And with things like BeatStars and YouTube licensing, if I wanted to, I could release a song for $70. Yeah. So it's like, there's now
that's like fuck you.
But teach me how to do that with funk music now, man. Like,
But like, in saying that, the downfall is, hey, I have this idea in my head, I can't put that out. Yeah. Like, unless I have someone. So for example, I'm working with the producers now, then the cost has gone up to the numbers you mentioned. Mm-mm. But if I go through beats on YouTube and something sticks out, then the cost is minimal. But in saying that, the energy and time consumed to get to a point where I can mix and master, not even what I consider to be at close to a professional level, but enough to whereas the regular consumer won't recognize that much of a difference, if any. Like, our ears are trained. That took years. Yeah. So the trade-off is still there, whether it be money or time. And I guess money's just the physical conversion of the energy of time. So it had its costs, but I'm lucky to be at a point where if I have an idea, I can get it out relatively inexpensively. But yeah, I mean, that's sort of my process. And I enjoy that because I like being alone. Yeah, for sure. In that process.
That's the blessing of it. And I think that's the same, like, you're kind of tagging onto Raf's question in the sense that, I've written songs with people. Like, I'll sit down with my band and there's been a few songs where you kind of go, oh yeah, that's a cool idea. All right, I'll take that and I'll go write some lyrics. But I like working alone. Yeah, it's like my domain. When I enter my songwriting room at home, that is my domain. When I walk into the shower, that is my domain. Yeah. You know, like, this is like where I can write wherever and however the heck I want. And then when I bring all the cards to the table, it's kind of like, you know, especially with a band. So I work with different guys, depending on what record I'm doing. So, you know, up to a year ago, I didn't have a horn section, and now I've got a 3-piece horn section. That could very well be 6. Partly because, like, as I've done songs over time, you know, you're kind of like, oh, that trumpet player wasn't available. I'll hit up this new dude. Oh, actually, he gives it a new spin. So the next time I do something like this, I'm going to tag this dude in and throw him into the track. And then, like, I guess, like, there's definitely you could call it your spine. It's like your dream team. You know, your FIFA dream team, whatever you call it, my team. So like my team will involve, Bronson, who's an incredible drummer, but he will also sit down and see like, again, minimal music theory because I've thrown it all out the window. It's all in my head. You'll sit down and you'll say to Bronson, "Hey Bronson, you've got perfect pitch. I want a horn chart for this song, and this is what I hear. Here's a few chords, and I'm going to vocalize the da 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 da. This is what I want. Oh yeah, cool." And he'll sit there on the computer and he'll notate a whole 80 bar thing, whatever, in 5-10 minutes. So he'll just sit there and chug it in, and then you can give it to all those classically trained trumpet players and be like, "There you go. Oh yeah, cool. All right, thanks for doing that, Matt. No worries." I won't say that.
It was not.
It was not me. But yeah, band changes over time. Go back to when I first started doing this. I've been doing this for about 10 years now. So when I first started doing it in high school, I had a band in high school, guys who just wanted to muck around in the music rooms and hide away from, all the jocks and things like that. But yeah, I hide away in the music room, do that. And then when I finished high school and I went into first year uni, which was a music degree, you're kind of like, now this is my people. You can walk into a room at university and be like, "Yo, bro, what's going on? I'm super cool, these are my boys,
No one knows.
in high school, it's just like, yeah, Matt's that weird musician dude, the geek,
Like 22 Jump Street.
exactly, yeah. But it's, you go from one environment to the next, and you're kind of like, all right, now this is it, this is my group, and so, I pulled a band together from there, and then you finish a 3-year degree and you're like, yep, this is the year I'm going to be famous. And you realize, actually, no, I need to have some sort of a backup or something that I can use to kind of... Yeah, backup's a bad word. Kind of like a foundation, a floating foundation, a cloud. Something that you can you can travel on, and you can, feel like you're okay, and you're not going to fall fall and die. It's just like this nice light thing that just keeps you floating. And I did 2 years of a master's degree in teaching, and when you do that 2 years, you're like, oh, far out. Okay, well, I don't have this band that I did, because they've gone off and done their own thing. Therapists and engineers. They wasted their life.
Sure.
They're like
idiots.
Losers.
But I remember, end of my bachelor's degree, I came out of a relationship, and so that relationship kind of held me back. At least I felt at the time, and went into a master's degree and started kind of picking up the oars again of the music boat, and because I hadn't written for a solid year. I guess, and I'd release stuff, but the quality wasn't there. But then, I kind of, I was working at a private music school, just teaching some instrument stuff in Sutherland, and the guy who was kind of he was a co-owner, if I can put it that way, co-owner, a sharer in the business at the time. He'd been with guys like Devin Townsend and stuff. This is internationally renowned rocker artists, top tier. Devin Townsend, Jimmy Barnes and things like that. Freaking guys that you would dream of being as a musician like me. Dream of being with, sorry. And he was kind of he walked past my room in between students and heard me playing the guitar. He's like, "That's really sick, man." He had he was 50. He did not look 50, but he was 50 years old, and he had amazing dreads, dreads that went past his nips. He was so, and he had such a presence. He was a drummer, so he's just like, "Hey man, what are you playing there?" And you're just like, "Oh, just one of my ideas I had years ago." He's like, "That's fucking sick. Let's do it," And he's just like, I'm going to get a group of guys together. Anyway, he got another 50-year-old dude who was definitely... both of them are metalheads. So, his name was Steph Billamoria, and the guitarist that he got for me, his name's Matt Ellis. He had a plaited beard, and it's black plaited beard that was starting to grey. and he'd like color his hair and everything, like red or purple or blue, whatever he'd want to do. So I had this like, this trio. We were a trio of misfits, this young guy with these two older dudes. And then I got, you got to meet Eric Borelli.
Yes.
Who played guitar with me through the whole of uni. And so we kind of got like this dream team that was there. And then when Steph kind of dropped off and Matt dropped off to go continue doing what they needed to do in their own like personal life, they were running businesses and really pursuing other musical endeavors. It's like they dropped off and I was kind of like, oh, well, I've got all these connections I used to be a very good networker. I really need to network again. I really need to. But I picked up all these other dudes and it became my dream team. So you've got, Jack Hollis playing keys, Bronson on drums. And the story about Bronson joining was weird. I'd actually known him for years, but I'd forgotten about him. Like, so weird. But anyway, another story for another time. But Jack, Bronson, and then, I got my 3-piece horn section and Eric was there and Eric dropped off. And from Eric, it was interesting because I had a bass player at the time who left just before tour. He had a few things he really needed to sort out, and remember going to a Vinyl 45 gig, and I remember talking to Aaron Gunn, who was a good friend of mine, but he's also the front man for that band, and he's just like, oh bro, you're going on tour, like it's so good that you're going on tour, you excited? And I'm like, yeah, I'll leave in like 3 days. He's like, oh yeah, you got everything sorted and you're ready to go. And I'm like, nah, actually I've had like 5 bass players that dropped off. So shout out to all the bass players out there. You're so inconsistent and you can't commit to anything. But like, anyway, I'd had so many of them and they said yes and then they dropped out. Yes, drop out. Yes, drop out. So I'm finding all these dudes and eventually I'm out of options. He's like, you got to go talk to Jaden, man, like my bass player. And went over to Jaden and said, yeah, I'm looking for a bass player. Would you be interested in coming to Melbourne? Oh man, I don't have any money. Like I can't, I won't be out. Mate, I'll fly you out there. Like I'll pay for your ticket. I'll get you out. Like you, just as long as you learn my songs and you play those gigs. And he's like, oh yeah, okay, no worries. Anyway, through Jaden, Eric left. Through Jaden, we also stole the Vinyl 45's guitarist, Alex Angora. So now we've got this full 8-piece, 9-piece band from guys that I've stolen from other people.
Wow.
And people who've just slotted in when people have dropped away. So it's always changing. And then as styles change, I'm hoping to go a little bit country in the next year or two. If I don't go country, it'll probably be down R&B scene. I'm still trying to work out who I am and what I am musically, but I'm in touch with a guy called Jai Perry Banks, who's a fantastic pedal steel guitarist. I don't know if you know what a pedal steel is. No, you guys should really get into that because you could make some really good beats with that sort of instrument.
Have you heard of this?
It's
before?
like
Nah.
It's like
no idea.
It's like a funny it's like a table guitar. You sit on on stools and you got pedals that manipulate the pitch. And you pluck and you use a slide. It's very haunting, like a very haunting sound.
Maybe I do know what this is.
It's really cool. Yeah, if you listen to any classic country song, you'll hear it. People will hear it and go, whatever that instrument is, that's cool.
Can you make the sound with your mouth?
Yeah.
I think.
I'm sure I've heard it. I love country, so I'm sure I've heard it. I've just never understood.
No,
exactly
yeah. So it's a cool instrument.
This is going to sound sus as, but I think Madison B posted a band that used that instrument.
That's it.
And I was like, what the hell is that instrument?
It's cool.
A
pedal steel.
A pedal steel guitar.
Yeah. And Jai's
Now I know.
amazing because he's the only one in Sydney that plays it. So he does all the tracks for your dudes that come through. Any artist that needs pedal steels, Sydney side based, musician, Jai's the guy to do it. He wears sick hats. I've never met him in my life. I've messaged him. And he's the guy that's really keen to jump on what we're doing, but he's really cool. His talent is unreal. Yeah. And I have seen just some of the things that he's been able to work on. And he just adds, I've always been a fan of, and I think judging by what I've heard from your music is that you've got this, dark kind of atmosphere that goes with your songs. It would fit right in. You should just throw in some pedal steel, bro.
I'm going to check this out. I do need to check this thing out.
Be cool.
You're gonna have to show me afterwards. Maybe
Yeah.
send me through some
Sure.
details.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I never had anyone play live
Is
on
it
one
good?
of my
It's a
tracks.
good
Like, it's
experience.
all basically.
Have
MIDI
you? Well, so
recordings
you haven't. Do you want to? Like, is there a thing that you want to? Like, did you ever want to go into a studio and just
I'm
go, all right, we're gonna churn out a ton of samples.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna be in here for 5 hours.
Like, I've done it with synths and
Yeah,
stuff,
cool.
like running synths into the program and actually recording the audio from there.
Yeah.
But like, that's just been me. Like, I've never like really gotten in the
Do
studio.
you have a
with
favorite synth? Like both of you? Is there like a synth? That
Probably
I-
the
I
Prophet
couldn't name-
5.
I couldn't name a synth,
No.
so Raph's probably better for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably Prophet 5.
Prophet 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah. Or
I've always loved the Korg mini log. It's
I was
like-
gonna say the minis are awesome as well.
Yeah.
Both the Korg and the is the Arturia Mini 5? I don't know if you know. Is it based on the Korg? I think it might be.
I wouldn't know, but I remember being at uni during the first 3 years in the music degree, and my previous keyboard player had a mini log, and he used it for one song, and it was like one note.
It's so sick.
But like the things that you could do with just one note was unreal.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
It'd just be that like intro thing where you like,
Yeah,
you know?
seriously, it sounds like something off Jesus.
It's really cool.
Like
Yeah.
straight away. I remember like getting in the studio and I think it was a Micro Freak that they had, just sitting on the table, and I was like, I just want to like go see it. It has like this little touch bar,
Yeah.
and I was like, okay, like let's see like what
One
I
of
can
the
do.
things-
And it's just like insane. And you're like, I've never heard a sound like this
Yeah.
before. And it's like all I had to do was press one button, and it's like
So
sounds gone.
Yeah. Well,
Ridiculous.
I think I get this vibe from you guys that yes, you should like. I'm gonna actually just encourage you, go to a studio and get a slave, you know, who plays music, and say to them, all right, pick up your darn instrument, and we're in here for 5 hours. I'm not letting you out of that room until you've done all the things that I've ever dreamed of doing with an instrument, you know. And I'm saying that in the most clean way. I'm not saying that in any inappropriate innuendo or anything like that. I'm saying like, you know, grab a guitar, and if you want to like play a note with like some people, you know, like the sound of a coin as a pick against a string. Like there's something cool about that to some people. I've never been a fan of it myself, but like as a, you know, musicians of your caliber with your style of music, that's like, oh, I could do so many cool things with this. People do really dumb things with whatever instrument they want. You know, they take shakers, you know, they break shakers and they use that as a sample, like something like that. Because egg shakers have rice in them, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, like the sound of rice coming out of plastic or metal or whatever, it's like they'll use that.
It's a unique sound.
So it's very Charlie Puth, you know, kind
Sure.
of the dude breaking stuff or like tapping things, and he'll put it into his, you know, he uses Ableton, doesn't he? Like
I think he might use Logic. Actually.
Yeah. Okay. So
I can't be
he'll
certain. I
Well,
don't
he'll
know if
plug
I've
it
ever
into
seen his
Logic
DAW.
or Ableton, and he'll kind of like put it through his keyboard, and he'll make up like a song for it. I could see you guys doing something like that.
All right, we got to get Nick in the studio
the next
with you.
album.
Like, yeah, the next time you get your 9-piece or 17, 23-piece band
He
together.
crams a 9-piece band into a little studio box vocal booth.
Yeah.
because
We're
I
just-
All right, guys, let's go.
We're just going to do it. I want to see this. This is a collab I need to see now.
Because I don't know how to play instruments. I don't know how
Cool.
to do anything. I can't produce. But the ideas in my mind, like sometimes I wish I could just speak it and they exist.
Well, dude, this is how I work, where it's like I will sit down and I will hear something in my head, you know, like you'll hear a sound going on around you, and you'll be like, I'm turning that into an idea, you know. So if you vocalized an idea and you were like, you know, dung, 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 you know, I'll be like, all right, cool, that's what I can do that. I know where that note is around about I don't have perfect pitch, but I'll be able to go, all right, there it is. Yeah, I know how to play that rhythm on that instrument. And, you know, you could describe it, or you can, like some people can't describe it. Some people just be like, you know, oh, I hear like that kind of sound. You know, you're like, okay, how do we get that sound? I love that whole creative process and going, all right, let's get this sound. Let's look for it. So you're sitting around playing with different instruments, playing with like, you know, plugging it through different amps, recording a sample and then finding a frequency and going, there it is. That's it. I love that whole thing. So I'm so down. That'd be sick. Yeah.
Got to book it.
It's actually got to happen.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's got to happen.
Yeah, huh?
It's got to happen.
It's got to happen. All right. We'll make it happen. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
What sort of musicians have you worked with besides the people that are in your immediate band that have like extremely interesting ways of creating sounds that maybe me and Nick haven't really discovered?
I'm first
before?
off the cuff. Shout out to Xenos. You were talking about him before. He's unreal. I think his you're talking about interesting sounds. His rapping is an interesting sound.
Yeah.
He really is
That's such
an
a cool,
amazing vocalist.
It's so unique. Yeah. It's so unique. It's so cool. It's very raw.
Very Greek.
Yeah. Well, see, you
Xenos,
do
very
get,
Greek.
but see, that's it. That's authentic musicianship, man.
It's awesome.
There's so many people who will cover up who they are.
Yeah.
I'm definitely, it's no doubt for those people who listen to my music, everyone will be like, oh, this isn't another John Mayer song, this is not, like my presence up on stage is very different to the Matt Charleston who, is out there. Like, you would put a microphone in front of me and I go into this zone this is artistic Matt, but then personal Matt's very different. But there's no distinguished difference between Xenos in person, off the stage, and him as a recording artist.
Wow.
And I've always just admired that. I keep just, I haven't done it for a while, but I remember there was a period where I'd just nag him. I'd be, I've got to work together, bro. And I'd be messaging him, just saying, hey, can we get in touch, whatever. It wasn't until maybe a year and a half after, I first got in touch with him that I went to one of his gigs. It was when he was still, what was his first artist name? See, I'm so used to saying Xenos now.
Z?
DJ Z.
Yeah,
That's
DJ
it.
Z.
I remember going to
I
see
didn't even know
DJ
this.
Z and Little P in North Sydney in Bondi. That was unreal. That was really cool. Or was it Manly? It was one or two.
And they
But,
choreographed their sets.
It was so sick. It was so cool. And I remember going to see that and going there, and him coming up to me, knowing who I was, and going, Matty Charleston, how you going, brother? And he's got this he's very, he's very square, but he's
got
not,
swag.
but he's got swagger, but he's not afraid to talk, to be who he is.
It's got aura.
Yes,
He really
he's
does.
got a presence, and then that, great, cool Greek dude that is an amazing rapper at the same time presents himself in the same way when he's an artist.
It's the Greek freak of
So
the
I
Sydney
haven't.
music scene.
I did work on a song with him actually. I asked him to do a verse for a song that I
was going to
trashed
ask
out.
this, yeah.
I trashed it because I didn't like my vocal performance on it, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't do that one. So yeah, there was a time where I got him to do a verse, and it's still he would do it, and it'd be this I think it was very much R&B poppy song, but it's as soon as he came in, it was a DJ Z song or a Xenos song. It wasn't, it wasn't like he was covering up. So his interesting sound, his interesting artistry has always been something that stood out to me. And I haven't known him for so long. I've known guys like Nick Marcus who works very closely with him for a very long time, in comparison to Xenos. But actually, since working with him, it's always been the talent that stood out to me from him. Yeah, 100%. What about you guys? Is there a guy that you've worked with that has just kind of, or not just guy, a girl? Because we talk about equality here, and females are just as talented, if not more talented. Let's be real. But have you worked with a guy or girl that have been just absolutely fantastic, off the charts?
First off, thank you for clarifying your statement. And second, Nick Webb. He's talented as.
Yeah, I think I've just worked with Raph.
No, seriously, when I say,
No,
I was
about
taking the
being
piss
okay,
kind of,
guys,
but
right.
no, Nick's one of the best songwriters I've ever met in my life. And we get in the studio and we could be struck with the worst sickness we've ever experienced in our entire life, and we'll still get out a banger.
Mad.
Like, bro, I'm impressed.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with us.
Yeah, I
sometimes.
think, look, to be honest, the only person I've worked with is Raph, but it's
Yeah.
amazing working with Raph. It's someone I'm comfortable with. And,
Yeah.
Like, I'm scared to say that with chest in case I've missed anyone, but I really don't think off the top of my head.
I don't think you've
I mean-
released
I
any
mean-
other features.
In terms of release songs, Raph's the only person I've worked with. In terms of unreleased songs and songs that could be coming soon, there is, I've worked with a producer now. He's in the team at Beats by Chef,
Yep.
and Barry was incredible to work with. Like,
Yeah,
that
cool.
was amazing. But in terms of like completed songs and worked with someone, it's only been Raph.
Yeah, all right, there you go. So it's only been Raph. Raph is just like that
I
guy.
feel very special.
Yeah.
And look, it's
We said
It's
like
actually
men or
awesome.
women.
I'm surprised I'm not
Dogs
sitting
as
over
well.
there and interviewing you.
I'm sorry.
It's Rob. He's
I
just
changed my
legit like
answer.
shined his shoes for him and then he just spat on them again. Like, yeah.
No, it's actually awesome because like Nick and I have known each other for like 20 years now, since like
Far
2004.
Yeah.
So like first and foremost, we're friends. We're best friends like for a very long
And that
time.
never gets in the way of you kind of with your creative direction or anything?
We're really lucky that we like are decently level-headed when it comes to
Yeah, I don't.
like sometimes Nick will go like, I don't really like that, and like even if I'm decently attached to an idea,
We'll talk.
I need to like get out of my own way because like I know
Yeah.
Nick's not an idiot. Like he knows
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
good for the track.
But
he's
vice
really
versa.
good.
Like, I think we just talk, and as well, I think what it is we're fortunate enough that our strengths and weaknesses sort of
Yeah.
come together so well that it's sort of when Raph says something about something specific, I step out of the way because I know to step out of the way, unless, and I think I can speak for both of us here, unless we're so adamant on an idea to whereas then we talk about it.
Yeah.
Like if something is truly standing out to us, like, no, like I'm sorry, I know, for example, my weakness is in production, but bro, I think this should be.
Yeah, it's
In
kind of
there?
like a trust me, bro.
It,
Yeah,
it
like
actually
let's-
happened.
Yeah, it does.
It happened when we put out. I think it was With Your Best Friend, which is not actually about Nick. Even though we're both on the song, it's about females. I promise.
Yeah, I was looking at the Like You Used To video as well the other day, and I was like,
Look, I'm not gonna lie. Me and Nick
Raph
need to.
spent too much time together.
Yeah.
It's not looking good.
It is looking a little bit sus.
Yeah.
But what can you
Lucky
do?
has a girlfriend to cover it up. But,
Yeah.
She's the cover story. She always says it. She
she's
goes,
the cloud
I'm just the
that
cover
just
story.
lets us do
Yeah.
what we want. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
the
yeah, right.
foundation.
No one
exactly, the
questions
foundation,
it.
Oh,
the
it
one
feels
that's
light now.
just- like-
Me and Nick
It's
get in the
okay.
studio, and no one sees what
Have a
happens
sense
behind
of
closed
things.
doors, but they never
yeah,
question
yeah,
it.
yeah,
They just
exactly.
go, "Oh, Raph's with Les Arena."
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
they're a really cute couple.
Yeah.
They don't know. But yeah, like it happened with one of the songs that we did together, where I had like an extra little hi hat or something in there, and I was like, "This really like pushes the groove along," and then Nick was like, "Bro, that's annoying," and I was like, "Are you serious?" I was like, and I was like, because
like he
I think I know what
stabbed you
I'm
in the
doing with the
heart.
production.
Are you
No,
serious,
but
bro?
it's
How's
like
that?
I'm like, okay, like I got to listen
Yeah,
to him.
yeah.
I was like, it was like a bit of a shock because I was like, usually
Yeah.
he wouldn't say something
kind of
like
like
that.
that look away and then going, all right, let's try and hear it afresh again. Like
Honestly,
if I do
it's
that
not
before.
hard. It's not hard to get out of
Yeah.
my own way, but like it does come as a little bit of a shock, like when someone says something like that, and it's like,
Of course.
Because
like
I think-
because the
yeah.
dynamic usually is, I know what I'm talking about. You know what you're talking about.
course.
So I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
this track's like sounding good, and he comes in and goes, oh, like this hi hat, this second hi hat needs to go. Like it just sounds mushy. And I was like, and like you close your eyes and you think about it, and bro, when I
You're
listened
right.
back to it the next day, like even though I was like, okay, like I don't really know, but if you're insisting, like let's do it. I listened back to it the next day, and I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
like that was the best call. Like seriously, for the production, that was one of the best calls we made, and
Yeah.
like we're just
It's the
fortunate that
benefits
things
of
work
working
out.
with someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
At
man.
the end of the day.
And as well, something else that, to be honest with you, the hi-hat situation doesn't stand out to me as much as we had an initial version of the song. And then we actually spent a whole day rewriting the
We
song.
did too.
And then we both came to a unanimous agreement that the first version was a freestyle.
Yeah.
Like it was like,
Yeah.
I have this beat, and then I was like, you know what, just press record. And I was like, on the mic, I think we were playing out of the speakers, so I didn't even have headphones on. And I was just like, like I was just doing the melody, and like some words would pop in, and then we had that, and we would listen over, and we're like, hey, like this is sounding good for like something that doesn't even have words. Then we're like, okay, we'll elaborate on it, and we'll write to it. And then we're like, okay, we can write better. So we recorded a whole song of these new lyrics, and we played this demo version that was a single take freestyle, and we played like this
The developed.
semi-finished track.
Yeah.
Which we spent like more than a day on.
Yeah, a lot of time.
Like it was a lot.
The writing took a day, and then the recording, and we're like, we like the energy of the demo more. So then we
first one.
just like tried to translate the demo into like a finished track, and that ended up.
And the craziest thing is like, if you go and listen to that song now, you'll hear parts where it sounds like I've like put a filter on it to like make it sound like it's coming through a phone. That's just the raw freestyle.
Yeah.
Like there are elements of the freestyle that we loved so much that we just
Yeah.
chopped out and we kept
That's mad.
in the final song.
That's cool.
Like,
It's like a scrapbook kind of thing. You know, just
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
If you look at the DAW file, it's just
Yeah.
elements just sporadically
That's mad.
all over the place. But that decision in and of itself felt right, I think, because it was unanimous. Sometimes it's so hard to create a whole song and let go of it
Yeah.
when it's yours.
Yeah.
Because now you're stuck in your head.
100%.
And then, but knowing that it's like we both looked at each other and just went, sort of at the same time, we were like, I think this is better. It almost doubles down the decision-making process, which for me is like of massive value,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
For
Like,
sure.
just being decisive about something.
Best mate who's not just your best mate, but a songwriter who actually can understand your vision for where you're going.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think, that for me was like the thing that stood out the most working with other people.
Yeah.
It's like understanding that when the unanimous agreement part, and obviously the disagreement part, like we mentioned, but for me, it was having confidence in an idea, I think makes for a better idea.
Yeah.
Regardless, you could go through with the same idea, but I think when you go through with confidence, it comes out in the recording, it comes out in the mixing process, it comes out in the excitement you have to finish.
100%.
Yeah.
The excitement you have to finish a song. Like I think you'd understand, like with that sort of energy, you can almost feel it in every stage of the song. So that for me was like the best part.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, like, I think at least whenever I've worked with someone... See, I haven't actually... Since kind of rebooting my career, because there was a period where I decided I'd take some vocal lessons and get half decent at vocals. It's still one of my weaknesses. I'm working
are you
on.
serious?
Yeah.
Vocals are
Well, it's
not
one
your
of-
weakness.
I definitely have a bit of work, but it's one of those things where I remember, although I haven't necessarily worked with anyone since rebooting that, I remember working with guys like Nick, who, and you know, I did a kind of glorified demo record with guys from all over the place. So Nick was there, and girl Roxanne Foley in Perth, and Kayla Flaxman and things like that. Guys from in and around Australia just doing their music thing. Guys who are just trying to reach more listeners and get a little bit more traction. And but I do know from experiences like that, actually sitting down and having that, like you kind of go, you know, all right, so here's the song, have a listen. You're like, yeah, this is great. Yeah, I've listened to this 50,000 times and I know it's perfect. And then as soon as someone has a listen and they're just like, you know what, Matt, that little bit there is like, you know, is throwing me off, or it's not great, or it's, you know, why are you saying that? Like, I was actually having a conversation with my bassist recently. We did like a little side hustle gig, and we're talking about my songs that I have written. And he's like, you know, I'm not trying to be personal or anything, but like there's those lyrics, there's one or two lyrics in one or two songs that is like, you know, I know that you're going for that kind of cheesy 80s pop thing, but that's too cheesy 80s pop. You know what I mean? Like, dial it back, man. It's kind of lame. Like, and since then, you kind of go, yeah, you know what? You're right. Why, like, you know, like, I would have liked to like I can always do a re-release, but just for those lyrics, it's pointless. Like I look at the rest of
Yeah.
the song, I'm like, it's perfect. Like,
That must be hard to hear though.
it is, because it's like it's the thing that you're kind of like, oh, maybe that's why that song didn't do so well. Like, or maybe that's why, you know, it's not a song that sticks out to me when I want to make a set list for a gig.
Yeah.
You know, I've written so many songs now. It's a battle to choose what songs I'm doing for a gig. Yeah, sure, you got like 4 or 5 songs out of the 12 that are like, yeah, these are the ones you play every show.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, yeah, we've heard those ones before. But it's like far out. So I've got to actually cut a song, you know, like 5 songs. But this song's really good. Yeah, I know. You know, but then like, yeah, it's like maybe that's why I don't choose that song live as much as I do. You know? Like, maybe that's not a song that gets called, or maybe that's why people don't call out for that song when you play a gig.
Yeah.
You know? Like I'll play a show, like my last big show was December last year, and we played at the was it December or was it January? Far out. It feels so long ago now. But yeah, December and January, like December or January, we did a gig at Factory Theatre.
Yep.
And you know, you'll have those guys. We have this one guy who comes to our gigs. Often he's a lovely dude and he loves our music. But even in a room of nearly 100 people, he'd be like, "Play me nice," you know. Like, I'm just like, all right, okay. So that's the one song that you have to play. But like, maybe that's why that song doesn't get called out from the crowd all the time. You know, one little thing, one like.
Oh,
You know,
if someone likes
you've
it.
released it. Well, like, so the one specific song I'm talking about is there was a song that I did this year that I released called 1 Minute. And I thought it absolutely slapped. And like Instagram popped off, the reels popped off. But I also got a lot of like negative traction coming through. You know, a lot of hate kind of going, this song sucks, or these lyrics are terrible, da, 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 da. Anyway, for me, I've got a very positive attitude. You could say I've got a big ego. So it takes a lot to kind of bring me down, right? So anyway, I'm just gonna ignore it. Like, the world's full of haters, and if you're getting, you know, a few 100,000 views, like plays on Instagram, people are obviously jealous. Sure, it didn't convert into likes, but you're just like, people freaking see that, you know what I mean? So people are more willing to hate on things that are getting the grip. But like I was getting some sort of result. And then, yeah, once you start getting the messages saying it's no good, da, 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 da. And then when you have someone I ignored it, but then when you have someone you trust, you know, and this is where it comes back to you guys, where it's like, you know, you could have, I don't know, if my cousin walked into your song and you said, "Oh, this extra hi-hat is cool," and he said no, you probably wouldn't give 2 peats about it. Like, you just like, well, yeah, like, okay, thanks for your feedback, man. But to be honest, like, who are you? Like a country artist, or like, you wouldn't know anything about this stuff. Like, you wouldn't know anything about rap. Like, it's a bigger art. It's more refined. You don't understand. But like, but no, as soon as your best friend kind of says, you know, "Hey bro, you know, that's annoying." Like, you're kind of like, oh, okay, I'm listening now and I can see what you mean. And it's because it's honesty. Your friend's not going to tell you a lie.
Yeah.
So, but sometimes that's dangerous.
It is.
Because you hold someone's opinion to such a high regard.
Yeah.
And obviously you've had a creative spurt or an idea which you've, you know, formulated on this track. And then all of a sudden, one person's opinion, but it's the fact that one person's opinion means 100 people's opinion to you. And that's difficult, because imagine you asked 100 people and they all liked it. But just because the equivalent of his opinion was worth that 100 of Matt Charleston's cousin's opinion.
True. But I guess it all comes down to, at the end of the day, like, how convinced are you? How grounded are you in believing that this is the way to go? Like, I've had so many situations where I have, you know, I've accepted some really, you know, I've got mates in the industry who've done incredible things, and they've given me feedback. Guys who've had years of experience, and they've given me feedback, and I've gone, yeah, you're right, I should change that. But there's also been times where those same people have said to me, "Matt, you should change this." And you're like, no. You know, like, actually, this this is it. This is it. One of those songs is Galaxy. It's one of my, like, it is my most popular song. And the amount of traction that I've just gotten from that was unreal. It kind of like, you know, it didn't get millions of streams, but it made you feel like you were the most famous person in the world. The positive feedback, the kind of the engagement on socials. You play it at a gig and everyone's kind of losing it, you know. But there's moments in that song. There were moments in that production of that song where I had, you know, 2 or 3 dudes like that come to mind who were just like, you know, oh, the guitar tone is not there. Like, you really got to change it. Or, oh, I don't like the feel of the, like, it's a kind of like, it's what's called like pulling the beat back. So like your tempo might be straight, but the drum beat is like falling into it. And so, it kind of feels like it's being held back. You know, it's not in line with that. It's that swing feel. And I had 2 guys say to me, it doesn't work. But like, it's one of those things that I'm convinced that has really gotten the traction for this song. It's one of those things that has really helped aid that, because I watch people when they listen to it and they're kind of like, they're rocking in the song. Like, it's like everyone's, their heads that are bobbing along are falling into your beat as you're going. And they're some of the best decisions I've made. So like, I guess it just comes down to how convinced you are, really, on how legit you think your opinion is. Yeah,
well, I mean, like, I guess it's a little bit different, like, when you go in as a collaboration, because both opinions matter. But like, there have definitely been times where, like, Nick will send me a song, and I'll give him feedback, and he goes, yes, no, same as well. I'll send him stuff, and he goes, prefer this. Would maybe sound better if you did this. Mix is good. Change this. And I think you're 100% right. Like, as artists, don't let people speak or talk you out of your vision.
You're creative genius.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, you'll improve over time. Like, even if you're like just getting started, I think.
Yeah.
You need to have a bit of a backbone for sure as a creative, because, bro, like, what do other people know? Like, even the biggest artists in the world, like, sure, okay, and Ed Sheeran is giving you advice, then probably think twice about taking it, right? You know, or don't think twice about taking it. Probably take it. But if you expect to get anywhere and you expect your vision to be able to one day be fully fledged, you know, like, you sit down and you produce the idea and it comes out properly, like, you need to, you definitely need to be able to stand up on your own 2 feet, for sure. I 100% agree with what you're saying.
You know, you look like, I know it's, again, another level. We were talking about Michael Jackson before. For all of you at home who don't know who Michael Jackson is, he's only the king of pop, that's all. You know, like, there's times where I love watching the This Is It doco. Have you ever seen it? Like,
No.
I think I saw it in cinema.
It's unreal. So it's him preparing for his last concerts, his last concert in London. And I think it's maybe 3 days before he dies. He's doing The Way You Make Me Feel, right? And his keyboard player is playing what I think is right the whole time, you know? Right? You're kind of going, oh yeah, like, I know, like, that's right, that sounds good to me. Michael Jackson's like, no, it's not that at all. You can't do that. It's my song, you know. It's more like this, more bouncy. And the guy's going, far out, I'm freaking doing that. Michael's like, no, you're doing it all wrong. Like, you know. And this guy's going, no, trust me. Okay, fine. You just tell me what you want me to do, and I'll do it. It's like, good, all right. But it's this. You can be the person who takes the feedback, but then, like, sometimes you look at guys like Michael Jackson, where people say it's not quite there. I don't think that's what it is. Like, how I'm doing it would be right, and you stand your ground and you say, no, like, you're not doing it right. This is how I want it to be played. like even the greats have kind of gone against the grain, and in that, like, I don't know, Michael Jackson might have had that same conversation back in the day when he was with Quincy Jones in the studio, and Quincy's probably going, you know, oh yeah, trust me, Michael, like this is it, like this is exactly what you're after. No, it's not, like trust me. And this is multi-million-dollar award-winning song, you know, like all because Michael Jackson's just like, no, trust me, like this is it. My opinion matters here in the creative process. Yeah, I guess that's what makes him the greatest of all time.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Okay.
There's not a lot of artists. I think
You do all
I
those
can
funny
stand
reels
them.
walking around the city going, Drake or, you know, what is it? Drake and
Kanye.
Kanye. Yeah,
Quite
yeah.
a few, Drake or Kanye.
And most of the people you ask are all whiteies, which is great.
This is true.
Because,
Well, it's
because
just
Need to
the
ask some
demographic.
blacks.
well, like,
Unfortunately, it's just the demographic
as soon
that I'm
as,
presented
like,
with.
Yeah. Well, like,
I'm not being racist. I promise. I'm not ignoring other people.
I
I'm
know.
just saying. I'm just
Well,
going
see,
up to who I
that's
see.
it's like it's interesting because, you know, like, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm only just a funk rock musician. You know. Don't really listen to rap music. I'm not gonna lie, but there's a point. I'll listen to yours, Raph. Don't worry.
Thank you,
love
Matt.
your
I
music.
appreciate it.
And yours, Zenos. Don't worry. I'm there. But like, you know, you ask someone of, you know, an Anglo background or a Caucasian background, and you'll say, rap artist, go. Eminem. You know, like, it's all, you know, Pitbull. Like, it's all the white people.
Pitbull's crazy.
You know, rap. Hey, you know, they're awesome. But like,
That's
you
the
know, as
greatest
soon
of
as
all
you
time.
present them with Kanye or, sorry, who was the other option?
Drake.
Drake. There you go. I said it before. I got them mixed up both times. Drake and Kanye. As soon as you present them with that, they're torn. Anyone who listens to that sort of music, they're just like, I'm torn. But as soon as you go kind of like into, you know, if you went to America and you had the target audience, you know, the original target audience, you know, they're very concise with their answer. They know exactly who they like.
Yeah.
You know, oh man, yeah, Kanye, absolutely. You know, like that, or you know, Drake, man, 100%. Drake's fantastic. He's the best.
Like if you ask
So
them for
you
a top
ask it-
five,
yeah,
they
exactly.
know.
They'll say
Yeah.
that, but
And
like you
they'll
know,
stand on it as well.
exactly. They'll fight you.
Yeah.
They'll fight you in the streets.
Yeah, seriously.
Atlanta is a terrible place to be at nighttime, man. When you have that argument, like,
Have you been to Atlanta?
no, I've never been to Atlanta,
Okay.
but I've heard things. I often wonder if down those side streets of Atlanta, most of those gang fights start because they're like Drake or Kanye. But like, you know, you ask a white person like, oh, far out. I don't know. Like every single person you've asked on your reels, they're like, I have not seen them think for like 2 seconds.
They
You know what I
know.
mean?
They know.
Yeah.
They got it. They got it ready to go.
I had a question regarding your Instagram output, because you mentioned you're like receiving hate and your views were like going up.
That's a
and I
good
remember
thing.
reading a book by I think Russell Brunson. I want to say, if I'm butchering that, I'm sorry. It's called Expert Secrets, and one of the quotes that stuck out to me was, "If you're not receiving hate by 12 p.m., then you're not marketing sufficiently enough."
Yeah,
And
right.
and obviously, you know, it can be hard, but I think that was sort of a testament that you're marketing pretty sufficiently.
Yeah.
Because obviously with the stats, and then, you know, unfortunately it is the case, but any attention is good attention at our level, I believe.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to know, like, how do you go about that? Do you have content in mind whilst creating the song? Do you
That's a really
like?
good
Is
question.
it because I know some people will now, and I've actually find myself falling into the trap a bit. They create a song with marketing in mind rather than market with the song in mind, which is crazy. But obviously we've had to pivot in our landscape.
Yeah.
And what's your process in terms of, you know, do you use any sort of promotion? Do you have any ideas that come to you before you make the song, after you make the song? Do you have anything loaded up? Do you recommend any paid promotion? Like just anything at all?
Yeah. Oh, look, it's a really good question. I'm a bit of a chameleon when it comes to songwriting, in the sense that my style will always change. I'm not specifically country. I'm not specifically funk. I'm not specifically blues. I'm not specifically pop. You know, like Raph will tell you going to my concerts is that you'll have a song for everyone. You know, you'll have someone who totally shuts down at the shreddy John Mayer, Joe Bonamassa-like blues song. But as soon as you start playing some sort of flamboyantly gay pop tune, everyone's like, yo, this is my stuff, man. Like, you know, this is sick. Usually when I go, especially when I go through, like if I can use my most recent stuff as an example, previously up to that point when I was on tour, I just released a really kind of, you know, thoughtful, kind of deep thinking concept of an album in Unify. So I released a 12-track album that was just, there's songs that are like, oh, okay, life, what is it? Why isn't humanity happy as we always try and present ourselves to be happy? By, you know, I'm a musician, but I'm not earning money. You know, am I doing it for the money or am I doing it for joy? Then you got other songs that are just like, you know, what do you think of your family? This is what I think of my family. And I wish I thought better of my family, in the sense that, not that I don't think good of my family at all at the moment. It's like, well, should I be giving back to them more than what I'm doing? So, you know, this is an album that's super deep in thinking. And so the photography and the marketing and the reels really came from that. But like for the recent stuff, I was like, you know what? I've gone super dark. I'm just going to give you everything colourful that you can imagine. And, you know, it will be catchy. It'll be kind of like, you'll catch everyone's attention. Go, oh, okay, colour on my feed. Because your feeds are full of like terrible stuff. You know, you can have the things that you follow, but then you'll see something from the news and you'll be like, far out, you know, 50 people dead in this situation. Oh, that's terrible. You know, you fill your brain with that and you feel negative as you doom scroll. I know I find myself doing that. But then as soon as you see colour, you go, oh, okay, all right. So I was like, okay, well, I've got this marketing idea that I want people to be like, happy and bright, flamboyant, gay, in your face. And from there, it was, all right, I'm going to write music to that. What does that sound like? All right, I'm going to go back to the 80s. The 80s was known for its, you know, socio-freedom, you know, like everything in regards to, you know, sexuality, everything in regards to self-expression, everything in regards to, you know, personal belief and things like that. That all came out in the 80s. You know, men wore their hair out for the first time. Like, you know, people were just like, what the heck? Like, this is something that men don't do. And all these new images came through that really just presented this like really happy kind of idea. So how I prepared for my marketing was, okay, well, this is the idea I got. I want people to obviously get this happy vibe. So what is the best examples that inspire me from that? And number one thing was the wheels. I like, you know, kind of, yeah. Well, see, like, you know, I did 1 minute. I did 17th of June. I haven't done anything for Galaxy, but my concepts for Galaxy were just very, you know, your classic, you know, 80s white room with the white window and the sunbeam rays coming through. Just very like, you know, all that, you know, loose white shirts and the fans in the background and, you know, all that really cheesy stuff. And that's what I was getting the hate for. It was this like, you know, oh, this guy's trying to be the Wiggles, or like, you know, this music doesn't slap, you know, this is, you know, too gay for me, whatever. And like, but like in the end, yeah, right at you, right? If you're ever interested in music that really resonates with you, listen to my most recent stuff, right? He's got a girlfriend, man, don't worry. No, but like
Sorry, I know what else. I have not to.
But no, like, you know, how I shaped my releases was by that vision in my head. And then when it just came out, when I started filming stuff, I got my mate Ryan Serena, who's also an amazing amazing songwriter. Ryan Lee, he goes by, but he's an amazing singer. But he's also a fantastic videographer. And so he really put together some simple stuff in a studio, coloured backdrops, coloured shirts, flower pots, balloons, cakes, all that like stupid colourful stuff that you could anything cheesy that you can think of. You know, I really wish I had a cat. You know, then you'd be like in the colourful room with a cat. You know, it's so dumb but so cool at the same time. Anyway, so that's been the most success I've ever had for my marketing because it was constant. Every day you were releasing these reels, these videos, these photos where they were just bang, 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 colour, colour, colour.
So did you just batch shoot that specific room?
Yeah. Oh, see, what I did was I went it's at Metronome Studios in Sydenham, and I did that space. I sat in there. I filmed in there for about 3 hours, and we probably repeated the videos of the song. So I was like, okay, 17th of June. I picture birthday presents. I picture colourful, like, you know, lying down on on colourful mats and with sunglasses and, you know, really, you know. So this is what I picture. And I just like, all right, let's film me lip syncing to the song 30 times, you know? And he's just standing up on a ladder filming me, like, you know, this whole time. Anyway, as we'd film it all the way through once, and you're like, all right, new backdrop. Let's pull another colour down, set it up the same way so that you're transitioning between, you've got like the props are in the same spots, but the colour's changing.
Yeah.
You know? And as the colour backdrops are changing, my shirt's colours are changing as well. So like it's all kind of how I at least went about that marketing at that point was, all right, constant colour. And the rule of thumb is for marketing, and you guys would probably know this, is that a standard reel goes for 30 seconds. In order to get the audience attention, you need to get them in at 3 seconds, at 10% of that. So how do you get them in at 10% in 3 seconds? You change the colour once every second. You know? Okay, all right, far out. There's colour. All right, you got me. You know? We're naturally attracted to colour. We'll run away as soon as we see black and white. Which, in stark contrast, I did the Matt Charleston trio, which I did with Bronson and Jaden. I want to do more stuff like that going into next year. It was sick, and it's a lot of fun. People vibe. But it's like, you know, black suit and ties, you know, like white background. Everything's black and white. Just like, yeah, we're cool. We're blues players, you know. Trying to do an old school kind of Jimi Hendrix kind of thing. And at like the contrast of the pop stuff to there, massive drop in the engagement. You actually see the engagement across the profile where it's like, okay, well, the music's great because you play it live and everyone loses their minds and they love it. But it's amazing how the visuals really contribute to that. So if I was like, I reckon I'm getting ready for an album release, you know, plug there, getting ready for an album release, you know, like I think every artist, whenever it comes to doing a release, how should you go about it? Well, if you could picture it visually in your head and it looks cool, and it's consistent and you can come up with endless amounts of content, you know, then it's going to be a banger release and you'll catch people. Think marketing first, you know. I'll say one more thing in regards to this is that whenever I write a song, I think I've said this to you before, when we first started working with each other, if I can't see a music video in my head, it's not a good song. Because I'm not saying that you can't have a good song without a music video, but what I am saying is that if you can't give someone, see, like Raph over here might not be someone who vibes with music. There's people out there who don't like music, but they love a good movie. So if you can give them a good movie, they're going to like that song that goes with the movie because that song really represents that movie, you know? I always work with, okay, I'm listening to this song. This is cool. How can I turn that into a music video? If I did. Not that every song turns into that. But I hope that answers your question. That was a big answer.
That was extremely insightful.
Any paid promotion or anything of that sense, or no? Completely organic. Any
I'll lie to say if I never done it. I did it. I've done Instagram paid promotion.
You did.
Huh? I've done Instagram paid promotion. I don't know whether it was the content, but even still, like I did these things that were popping off, and you didn't really get much traction from that. It was all organic algorithm picking up who would look at that stuff.
Yeah. See, I've asked this question to everyone. It seems it's probably going to be a repetitive question on the pod because I always find it interesting that everyone's experience is different.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Like
go.
I always find that interesting because in an age where, you know, we have digital marketing agencies and they're going to go, oh, we can get you to like, just put this amount in and this. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
this person goes, the organic flopped on me, but the paid did well. And then we had a guest on who goes, the paid didn't do too well, but the organic was great. And then it's like, you begin to truly recognize that it's like, okay, I just push the idea of great content works. That's it. That's the baseline, consistent, great content. And that's that. So I think it's just, it's always interesting. It's a question I ask every podcast because it seems like the response is always different.
Because I know guys like, so my mate, your mate, Nick Marcus, he's a paid promotion dude. And I've chatted with him about how he goes about that, and it's always worked for him. He's always just clocked off on it. And you know, I think Nick was the first guy that I knew, because how I met Nick was the funniest thing. Again, another story, but like I remember just talking to him. It was one of our first conversations, and I'd seen the engagement he had, and I said, "What are you doing for that?" He's like, "Oh, I'm getting paid promotion," and I was very like I was like, oh, paid promotion, it's as easy as 1, 2, 3. You know, freaking Nick presses a button, pays a guy, and he gets freaking 1 million views, whatever.
Easy.
How easy is that?
Wow.
I'm gonna be famous by next week. Hooly dooly, you know what I mean? But like you do it, and it's not. Like Nick's a very different artist visually, and like, let's say not just organically, but to put it, you know, for use of a better word, financially, like if you look at Nick's look, you know, what's the word I'm thinking of?
You're trying to say like
Just,
he's more
yeah,
he's marketable
like,
because he's in
like, well,
more
he's
of a
got a
mainstream
different
genre.
market. Yeah, well, no, like he's got the, like, you know, when it comes to buying a product, Nick Marcus just
Is
visually,
sexy.
you can, yeah, you
Is
can
that what
buy
we're trying
him.
to say? Nick Marcus is sexy.
I can say that.
We can say that.
This
These
isn't
two
helping the gay allegation.
but like, you know, I
I
think
thought you were going to make a Lester Arena joke there, so I'm just grateful it was
look,
gay one. That's all right.
I
For
think
that.
Nick visually is, you know, you look at a Nick Marcus promo or a, you know, a music video, or you listen to a Nick Marcus song, and you say, I'd buy that. You know what I mean?
He's not for sale.
No.
Mate. Just,
Nick is a very reputable
Nick,
guy.
if you're for sale, let me.
He would not do anything dodgy. He's very nice, and he's very well mannered, and he's sensible and wise. But yeah, no. But you would go, you know, I'd buy that. You know, for me, it's a, you know, I have a very clear distinction between live and recording. You listen to it on a recording, you'd be like, oh yeah, cool. You know, like that's nice, like a Sydney guy trying to make his way. But one of the things that I know, this is what builds 99% of my ego. One of the things that I know is that I'm one of the best live music performers in Sydney, and I've got that confidence, and I'm saying that from the sense of I've got an incredible band. I say this to my band all the time. You guys make me sound better than I actually am. But with the energy that I get from my band, I'll perform better and I look better. So that's I would not be able to put up a promotional ad on Instagram, put $100 in on that, and I would not get as much as a Nick Marcus would with his $100. But whether I'd be able to pull a crowd and start playing with my band and everyone go, whoa, what the heck? Like the last gig that we played at was at Art House.
Yeah.
And Raph was there. He came about like halfway through, but from the beginning it was so interesting because I played at the Art House and kind of like setting up. And you know, this is no shade to the management, but I think the management were kind of like, oh yeah, here's this young guy, kind of, he's got a band and cool, yeah, he's got a setup, that's great. As soon as we started playing, you could tell, like, oh, far out, okay, all right, okay. They all kind of sat up, like, the manager and some of his mates were like leaning on the bar, just going, "Oh yeah, cool, all right, yeah, start, come on." And they're actually asking me to start. They're just like, "You gonna start soon? You gonna start soon?" Yeah, we're getting there. Trust us, you know. We're just doing the last checks. Come on, like people are here. You know, we want people to stay. Yeah, okay. Anyway, start playing, and well, like even before I started playing, you know, I was just like, "Oh, you know, good evening, everyone. I'm Matt Charleston. Thank you so much for having me." And they go, "Come on, like, you know, start playing." And they're like, "Oh, okay, all right, we're listening." And the whole time they're just like, their eyes do not blink. Like, this is freaking sick, you know? And they're like, "Can you believe it? We got them for this much money," you know? Like, it's like, one of the things that I've been told by dear colleagues of mine is that, you know, artists need to know their worth. And I think, like, you know, you could play like for me, I know that I could play anywhere and I'd bring a crowd, and I'd still got a lot of work to do. I'm not saying that amidst this ego, I don't know where my weaknesses are. I know, like, there's so many talented bands out there, and like, but I know that you sit us up with, like, on a good stage at a good venue with a good crowd, will entertain anyone. And so, yeah, back to my point is that you've got, the reason why you have that balance is because some people are just so good at being that, that's the word, monetized product, right? Like Nick collects coin from what he's able to produce visually and with his sound, like the sound that is so accessible. To go hear me at my best, you got to pay 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks.
I understand.
Nick Marcus, you pay $1, you're like, "Oh my good," or you pay your Spotify monthly, and you're like, "I can listen to Nick as much as I want," and I'm so happy, and that's the vibe that I get every time I listen to Nick. I'm just like, far out. It's like, I can't believe I'm getting this coin. But like, yeah, like you have some artists who social media will struggle. I could really do with a marketing person if I trusted them and if I knew that my money was going to a good place.
Yeah.
But I know that my big marketing platform is the stage. You know, and people have those two platforms, and I think people forget that. So, like Nick, I played, one of the first experiences I had with Nick was playing live. That was awesome. I got a band together with him, and we played at a Red Rattler in Marrickville, and that was such a dingy venue, but so cool at the same time. He had such a good crowd. But see, like guys like Nick, he's got such a good sound on Spotify and your streaming services that he would pop off even more going off over onto another stage. I'd love to play with him again. It's like, I think he's on my bucket list. And I say that in the most appropriate way. Like, you know, I would have Nick on my bucket list to play live again. Yeah.
That's awesome. Can I ask you quickly a little bit about the trio and about the live performances and about your national tour and all of that? I know we've been going for a little while already, but it is something that I really wanted to touch on.
Sure.
If you're not in a rush to get out of
here.
No,
what do you want to know?
Well, when we were at the art house,
none of the dodgy stuff, but yeah, yeah.
When we were at the art house, I think you had 9 people up on stage.
Yeah, I had 9
with you. Now, I know the trio is a new thing. Was the 9-piece band complementary to the trio, and is that what it looks like going on a national tour? Is that how many people you take with you? Like, is it? Because I mean, I've never done a national tour. I see people rock up with these big bands. Like, for you, what does it look like?
I guess the beauty of having a freaking 9-piece band is that you can adjust it accordingly to the stage that you're playing on. And I've really made sure that I write songs that are compatible with me being by myself. So like I could pull up an acoustic guitar and I'd sound great, you know, by myself. But, you know, then if I take it to a trio, you know, it's easy to arrange, it's easy to adjust and compensate the sound. So you'll have like big songs for the 9-piece band. Like, for example, we got a song called Happiness. That's like rocks 9-piece. Absolutely rocks it. Like the fat horns, really, really great. Like Jaden plays on the bass. He plays a 5-string, so he can land on like a low, you know, C, which is crazy. And then you've got, have it like drums and keys, and that fills out the space. It's really nice. But like, yeah, you can cut that in half and take it all the way down to a 5-piece. So when I went on tour, it was a 5.
Okay.
And we'd only just started arranging my music, because originally some of these songs did not have horns. So it's only been recent 12 months that has been kind of like, all right, sit down and, all right, if I was to put horns in, what would it sound like? And, sometimes I just let Jack and Bronson take the wheel with their perfect pitch, and they go, oh yeah, well, yeah, that'd be cool. But like, yeah, like when you go on national tour, if you've got 9, I've never gone with the 9. That's a lot to organise, because I've done it all myself. Organising a national tour by yourself is a hard thing to do. It's and to make sure that everyone breaks even. Like, I didn't break even on national tour. I made sure I paid out my band. Like, made sure that they walked away with like +1 at least. So that was like, I went with 5, and that was full on.
Yeah.
The reason why I went to the Trio was a project that I wanted to show that I was capable of more when it comes to blues. And the best blues... Let me rephrase that. Most of the best blues artists have always been known to kind of strip it all the way down and go hard with a, stripped back drum kit, bass guitar, and, lead guitarist, vocalist who will play rhythm lead. So you are not just playing chords. You're not an indie band. Like, you're not playing chords and just going, you're playing chords and lead things while you're singing at the same time. And that's something that I've been training myself to do over the last 12 months. And that's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do. Especially guys like, you look at SRV, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and Jimi Hendrix, and those guys were legends of rhythm and lead playing. But the reason why I went to the Trio is so that you can go on tour and you can be like, all right, I don't have to pay $3,000 for everyone, to break even and get there. It's like, all right, well, I'll go to a gig and I'll do a $600 gig for an hour, and we'll come out with $200 each, So you're making a monetizing product. But then also, you're kind of like, you're playing these songs that people will go, like, there's nothing like going to a rock gig and seeing only 3 people there and then having a fat sound. It sounds like they got 9, and actually doing that is such a great experience to have, because if anything, we're talking about marketing. That's more marketable. You go live to you walk past a live music venue if you're a rock fan, and you hear this massive band playing in the background in a venue, and you go check out who's playing. You're like, far out, that's only 3 guys. That's ridiculous. So we did. I did it because I wanted to show how much of a blues dude I was, and really follow after the influences that I've got. But also just to kind of like, makes it easier to travel, makes it easier to go interstate, and it's a marketing thing too. Everyone loves seeing 3 musicians suited up in the hot lights, bro. Like, something about like loosening up those ties and having a beer. I don't drink beer, but those musicians who kind of like, oh, fire, they're sweating out and they're rocking, but they're like so formal and so well presented, but they're giving you like this gritty, like raw blues music, yeah. So that's why I did that. Like, but touring is hard. Going with 5 people, organizing 5 is hard.
Yeah.
I found it tricky because you're making sure that you've got enough money. I was working as a casual teacher to fund that, and casual teachers in Sydney are really well off, better well off than the standard full-time teachers. I kind of miss the pay that I'd get as a casual. You're like getting $550 a day, mate, at school. It's mental. Like, and it's babysitting. So you'd sit there. Sometimes the kids they've got their work to do and they just go do it. If you've got a good class, you sit there for a couple of periods. You don't have to do anything, and you're getting that money in the hand. Do that 5 days a week, and you come away with a half a tour budget to go to one state. If you cram in a week, you're going to stay at a venue and you play 2 or 3 shows, and then you can move to the next one, and that can be the second week of casual work. So yeah, but it's hard to coordinate everything.
Yeah. I can't imagine, like, I've been at agencies and places that organise the tour, and I know how much work can go into it if you want to do it right. So I can't imagine how much stress that would have been for you to just get every little detail in order, and not to mention for 5 people.
And there's time.
And you were saying, like, you flew out one of...
Yeah, flew out Jaden.
Yeah, like
Jaden
that's
Williams,
just on top of that, like it's just another thing to worry
Flying
about,
people,
another expense.
Making
like,
sure you pick them up at the right time and
far
you don't forget about them.
Yeah, seriously.
And, you know, look, we'll see, like, it was another time. I don't have that time now. Like, it's hard. But, like, it was another time where that was the hustle. You know, like, I like to think that I'm a prominent musician and I'm very well in the industry, but I'm far from where I was a year ago, 2 years ago, where that was all I was doing. So your time management and your administration of how you did things was so different, and it was a lot of work. Like to go, Jaden, make sure that, like, I drove everywhere. So I drove to Melbourne. Did the Queensland stint as well. So that little, like, I drive a Renault Clio. So shout out to all those Renault drivers out there. Drive a little Renault Clio hatchback thing, you know, so going down from Sydney to Melbourne up to Queensland and going bang, 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 doing gigs and bringing your band, bringing your equipment, making sure your Airbnbs are sorted, making sure that the promo's going well, making sure your pay's there, making sure you get your invoices in, making sure that you're not going to be playing to an empty crowd. There was one gig where I practically played just as a support acts and 2 other people. Like, it's like, oh gosh, like, it's like you're starting from star one, you know, minus friends and family. Hard work, you know. Melbourne, the first gig that we did, no one was there. Like, it was the support acts, which was a 7-piece band, and I just met my dear friend Rance Lazarus, you know, while I was busking in the street, you know, with my band. You know, we stripped everything back and we did some busking along the Yarra River, and meeting Rance was unreal. But, like, Rance was like, you know, he came with one of his mates and watched, and then we did that big gig in Factory Theatre in the city, and Rance joined it. I flew him out, and he came up on stage, and we did a split set. So, you know, like, but, like, you know, there's blessings within the bitter moments. Like, you know, it's bittersweet doing some gigs, you know, with no one there. And it's demoralizing because you're like, far out, I spent all this money and I'm not going to get anything back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I've spent all this money and I'll get, you know, the 3 entry tickets that I just gotten from this venue. You know what I mean? But, like, you know, I've done enough and I've gone over to Melbourne enough that I'd be able to do a gig in Melbourne now. I reckon I'd get a crowd. Because, like, I've since gone back to Melbourne and I've featured on the stage with Rance and I've met musicians there. And I've also gone and networked in the industry out there, and people know me out that way. So it's kind of like you'll at least get the musicians to support you. Yeah. But, like, it's a tough gig. When you do tours, you got to do it at the right time. I think if I could, I would have held off for another 12 months because it's heaps. It's a lot. A lot of money, a lot of time. Yeah.
Yeah, far out. Well, I think you're doing a fantastic job.
You're too kind. I'm looking forward to getting back into it. This has been the quietest 3 months I've had ever with songwriting.
I think everyone's kind of in a similar boat where it's just like work's ramping up. There's just all this extra stuff to do towards the end of the year. There are deadlines to meet. Yeah. Like, oh, yeah.
We need some inspiration, you know, working for the holidays. Bro.
Yeah, seriously. But God willing, you'll be releasing stuff very soon because we're excited to hear it.
Well, see, like, you know, this is another thing I'm super thankful for. Like, you know that I'm a very committed Christian, and I think, you know, although that there isn't the songwriting element that I have at the moment, like where I'm writing music and I'm playing gigs, real blessing as musicians, especially as musicians with faith, you're able to kind of take that and put it into a context that isn't just all about yourself. You know, like, so I'm playing at church. My church is a small church, but to be able to play for a small church and not do it for my own glorification is incredible, you know? So yeah, like as much as things are dry on the, you know, south side of the border where I'm, you know, where I like hanging out and basking in the sun and writing the music and feeling great about that, it's even more glorious north side. You know, it's fantastic. It's just great to actually be doing something for a bigger and greater thing other than myself. But yeah, that's it.
How good.
That was very well put.
Yeah,
Wow,
seriously.
that was very well put.
Thanks, dude.
Maybe do you have anything?
No, I think, that was
I've answered all the questions, so does that mean I get the job?
Hired.
Yeah, great, good.
No, look, I could go on and on and on and on.
Yeah.
But I genuinely think we'll be here for another 3 hours if I ask you about your faith and all the other stuff. So,
Tune in for the next episode. No, kidding.
no, we'll have you back on.
Sure,
100%.
I'd love to. It was a lot of fun. This was sick.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, but we do have something, like the reason I'm trying to hold myself back from asking more questions is because we do like to end the episode with some rapid fires, and it's Nick's turn this week to ask them.
So it's like one word answers.
No, it's not one word answers.
Well, I mean, should we start pushing to it? Nah. I like how they've been going because that's what
I
everyone
like how
says. Everyone says, "Is there a time limit?"
There's no time
and then
limit.
we
say
just-
like, 60
How long have we been
seconds on
going
the
for?
clock, and then it's not.
episode
Forever.
This is 8 or 9.
episode 8, 9.
This is
Is that released episode or no?
That's released episodes.
Really?
Yeah.
So this is like 11. Because we have
There's like
2
10,
unreleased
yeah.
episodes
Oh,
Yeah.
that we like did at the start, and we're like
tuned.
testing out equipment, and we
Yeah.
failed, and it's like out of focus, and we get bullied all the time.
We
for
did
it.
get bullied a lot for it, but you know what? We're putting in the work. I don't want to
But
hear
look
it
how
from anyone.
beautiful it looks now. It looks
That's
beautiful.
right.
it's fantastic. The upgrade.
No, we're very lucky.
All right,
Again, shout out the Lab Studio.
100% shout out the Lab Studio. All right.
If you're ever on holidays in North Strathfield,
Yeah.
you can come to Lab Studios.
It's not just the Outback Steakhouse.
Yeah.
So, rapid fire questions. 60 seconds on the clock. That's not
Both.
true.
There's
Okay.
not actually 60. Yeah.
I just fibbed.
No, I'm keen.
Number 1, favourite artist.
John Mayer.
Favourite club in Sydney.
I don't go clubbing.
That can be performance club as well.
Brass Monkey, Cronulla.
Go to
Jeff Cho,
Macca's
shout
order.
Big Mac meal, medium with a Coke.
Oh.
These are
Vinyl or
rapid.
streaming?
Sorry?
Vinyl or streaming?
Vinyl.
Give me a 5-letter word that starts with L.
Lover.
Best movie ever.
Or The Prestige.
Good
with
movie.
Hugh Jackman
Yeah,
and Christian
fantastic.
Bale. Yeah.
Best country to visit.
Well, I've only ever been in Australia, so I'm going to say Australia. Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Did you make your bed this morning?
Yes.
Ooh.
Kind of. Like, it's kind of like the sheets weren't quite all the way, like, wrapped under and everything. But, it's there.
It's there. It's on its way.
It's made, yeah. Not military like my father and my dad, if he saw it. It's the cane for you, son.
Have you ever gone viral online?
Viral, no.
Best snack in the studio?
Best snack in this studio or in
In
any
the studio.
Wicked Wings, KFC.
Oh,
Ooh,
wow.
that's heavy duty.
That's such
Yeah,
a good
yeah,
shout.
very heavy duty.
That's just a hectic
It's
snack.
so heavy duty that like they insist that you have to wipe your fingers before you use the mixing board.
What's wrong with them?
What's a song you wish you made?
Oh my gosh.
I sense a John Mayer song.
I don't know. I think can I say 2 or is it just one?
Yeah, no.
All right. One of them. If I ever get around to living, John Mayer from the Born Raised album, lyrics and the instrumentation are fantastic. It's the biggest layback song. Second one, When the Man Comes Around, Johnny Cash.
Okay.
It's
And
like
now you
a
have to
song.
pick-
It's a song about like God's coming judgment, but it's like Johnny Cash. So everyone thinks that it's like back in the day when country music was all like, hard and gritty and earthy and stuff. But like everyone loved Johnny Cash because he's this nice guy. He's really this nice, friendly guy. And then he's just like, well, here comes the judgment of God. Like, yeah.
And now you have to pick one or the other.
If I ever get around to living, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You can listen to one genre for a year. What is it?
Blues music.
Dead or alive, who are you collabing with?
Michael Jackson.
Pineapple on pizza.
No.
What's a song that shouldn't exist?
A song that should... Old Town Road. The remix,
That's
yeah.
funny.
All right. First word that comes to
Oh,
mind.
can I change that actually? Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you know these boots are made for walking? Nancy Sinatra.
Yeah.
You've been thinking you've got something for me. Boom, boom, boom. It's
don't-
really
you don't like that
I
song?
hate that song.
Are you serious?
From the day that I heard it, like I remember it's in the Australian War Memorial in Canberra, and they have this like amazing retelling of one of the combat things. And because it's like Vietnam War,
Yeah.
it was a Vietnam War video. At the very end, as the credits roll, it's like everyone dies in this video, and then boom, credits. Dum, 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 dum. You've been saying you've got something for me, and it's such a
Wow,
her voice
I
is
didn't
not a
expect
good
that.
singer. She's not a good singer either. I do not know how she became so big,
I
but
haven't heard
like
this song, to be honest. Or
you're
maybe
gonna
I
need to
have.
listen to
I think
it.
you'd know it if
These
you
boots
heard
are
it.
made for walking.
These boots are made
it's
for-
terrible, and it's just lame. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. I
Okay.
hate that song. Hate it. Despise it.
First word that comes to mind when I say spaghetti.
Bolognese.
You're DJing a 5-year-old's party. What's the first song that comes out?
Baby by Justin Bieber.
No.
Good answer.
Who's winning a boxing match, a taco or a burrito?
It'll be a taco.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can I ask why?
I wanted to ask why as well.
Well, I have a feeling like the burrito might give the taco a good whack, and as he takes a chip off it, the Dorito would pick the taco would pick up the sharp bit and use it to slice open. The
Oh,
burrito
so it's
and
more
just-
like a shanking
Yeah,
situation.
yeah.
All right, fair enough.
So the
No,
taco's
no,
a dog.
Like, he is a bit of a cheater, but that's the spicy, salsa. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. That's
That's
such a good
character.
answer.
Yeah.
Favorite sound effect to use?
Fart.
Fart?
Well, look, I haven't used it for a track. Does it have to be something?
No,
I've
it
used?
can
No,
be
it doesn't.
live.
Yeah,
But you have to make it
there's
with your
something
mouth.
satisfying about a good wet one.
You have to make it with
Yeah.
your mouth, though.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you for doing that.
Use it for your next song.
Yeah, sample.
Sample
Yeah.
Charlie
yeah.
Puth it.
Yeah.
And if you pitch it up, you get.
Deep down, I'm still. Well, I'm not deep. It's just all over. I'm still a child.
Yeah.
I can put on I'm a very professional person, but I'll be a child
No, that's,
for the rest.
we
of my
need
life.
that as artists.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
do.
yeah.
Last dream you remember.
Last dream.
You remember.
Like my girlfriend can vouch for me on this. I have not dreamed in a very long time. I always have these like really weird dreams of falling through like spirals and things. So I think like, and it's very vivid and like it feels like I'm getting squashed, but like I'm spinning.
Whoa.
I don't have really amazing kind of. I used to have really creative. Oh no, actually, there you go. I do remember the
Yeah,
last
let's
one was
go.
only last week. I was with my girlfriend Solana and my dear mate John. Shout out to him. Zombie apocalypse at Cars Park. It was great. Like we were just walking through Cars
It was
Park, and
great.
then the sky went black, and there was like this ice cream van, and then like that appeared on one of the roads, and then we looked out over the oval, and there were all these zombies coming towards us, and we hung out in the ice cream van. We got in, shut it, and we were lying on the floor of the ice cream van as the zombies were all like around us. And I was like, we were planning, okay, what are we going to do? How are we going to get out and kill all these things?
But you weren't
And-
panicked?
No, we were so chill. Because I have a mad obsession with zombies. So, yeah, next episode we can talk about that. But yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like that was the dream. Yeah, last week I
You
remember.
know what's crazy?
going to-
Another mate had a zombie dream last week.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
He messaged me.
Oh, really?
Goes, you were in my dream last night. We were
Yeah.
fending
Oh,
off zombies.
something
Maybe
about
zombies last week was the thing.
Yeah, maybe it was. Yeah, there's something going on. Yeah, cool.
The collective
Yeah,
unconscious.
yeah.
If
pushing
you
zombies.
weren't into music, what would you be doing with your spare
Yeah,
time?
I love this question. I'm a rabid sports guy. I'm huge into sport.
Really?
You have a bit of a commentary
Yeah.
voice.
Well, see, I love commentating. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say,
love
you-
the
Can you
sound
give us a
I
bit
love
of
the sound of my
commentation?
own voice.
Yeah.
Like,
Imagine, do some
Commentary.
commentary,
Commentation.
do some... Let's make a situation you have to commentate it. Oh, no, it doesn't work like that. You have to be watching it.
yeah, well, like I guess it's I love the AFL, so
Oh, me and Nick will punch
anything,
on and
you
you
know-
can commentate.
you can. Well, yeah. Well, like it's just like you've got different commentators. You've got
Taco
golf ones who are
burrito.
like And here is Nick lining up for his third shot of the par. He's got a very nice iron there, 4
That's
to be
crazy.
precise.
I feel like I'm there in
Lines
the
up.
moment.
The wind is really beautiful here. And here we go. What a striking shot! That's absolutely fantastic. Everyone. So you've got golf guys, and then you've got then you've got the American football. And so Dallas lining up on the boundary side, getting ready for their first drive of the game. On the 5 after the punt, being muffed by McCaffrey, and he's so you got those guys.
What is going
I
on
can see
right
it,
now?
like I close my eyes and I'm like watching.
and then I'm
watching the
an
game.
AFL guy, so here's Heppel inside the forward 50. A nice big kick into the box. Spills down to the ground. Picks it up. And now we've got Brenton going for a nice short drop punt. Oh, fantastic mark there on the boundary. He's fantastic. Oh, he's dropped the football. Comes around on 45. Beautiful shot. Anthony McDonald tipping Woody. You beauty. Right? So you got
Now,
the...
your
I would
MJ impersonation
listen
was
to-
on point. So can you impersonate?
I can do a few impersonations. Yeah.
Who's your best?
Who's my best? Well, I don't know. Maybe if anything, it's going to be the greatest, most definite impersonation ever, if I could just say myself. I'm here with Nick and I'm here with Raph. They're two very fantastic, if not very handsome guys. I say that in not a gay way. They say that, but I can just say that it's not the contrary. But anyway, so you got Donald Trump. You got...
Oh, that one's crazy.
Nah,
that
that's
one's
fine.
crazy.
So Donald Duck, so I like impersonate. Me and my best mate Lucas, we'll sit down and we'll impersonate different people.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to make a scenario now.
I can't believe we just had Donald Trump on the podcast. That was amazing.
It was unbelievable. Thank you
Both
so
Donalds
much.
on.
Both Donalds. Yeah, there you go, Donalds. But yeah, no, I love impersonating people. So, but no, sport. I wanted to be a sports administrator. I was going through high school and I was convinced that I was going to do sports administration and management. And then it was my music teacher that turned me around and said, "You're actually good at music." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I'll try that." Started writing music, got a bit obsessed and haven't gone back. Yeah.
That bastard.
But sport, yeah, I love it. I'm an AFL gridiron fan. I'll get into anything. Yeah.
There's more questions, but that was so good.
That was so good.
All right, what's the best concert you've ever been to?
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I haven't been to too many that are outside of the indie scene. John Mayer in Sydney, and if it's not John Mayer, I went to see Victor Wooten. He's a bassist from America, and he came out with the Wooten brothers, his brothers, and man, that was unreal. Yeah.
How do we fix the Sydney music scene or improve on it? I
thought these were meant to be quick fire ones.
Yeah.
How do we improve it? Mate, give the money where it's due, where it's needed. I think we talk up the government talks up this game of beginning halfway through this year they were saying we've increased the amount of money that's coming into the live music scene here in Sydney, but it's not going to where it's needed. It's going to those big major booking agents, to artists and things like that. If you really want a scene that's going to build up, and I'm very passionate about this, if you really want a scene that's going to build up and fire off, you just have to look at Melbourne. Look at what they're doing for live music venues. Look at what they're doing for the indie scene. You can go to Melbourne. I'll go down Brunswick, the main road in Brunswick, and my goodness, man, every venue at night time past 5-6 o'clock, you've got a different style of music in every building, nearly every building. Sydney needs to get on that. How do we fix it? Give the money where it's due. The big corporations have enough. Yep.
Well,
Far out, what an answer.
there it is.
Donald Trump, thank you for being on the podcast.
No worries at all. No worries. No.
Mate, what
It's
an
been
absolute
fantastic.
pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me.
And just as they started cleaning outside, what a cue.
What
Mate,
a cue.
Tell the camera what's going on, if you've got anything to promote, if you've got anything coming up. I know you said a little bit of a dry period, but shout out your Instagram, shout out everything that you need to.
What's coming up? Well, we got a new single coming out beginning of next year. An album will come soon after. Get keen for that. After that, it's kind of a bit hazy. I'm transitioning different locations for jobs. So we'll wait and see. But yeah, definitely there'll be a single release. There'll be an album. There'll be a show that goes with it. It's all going to happen. Matt_Charleston_music. Matt Charleston on Spotify. Go check those out. And if you're really vibing with it, I'll let these guys know so that we can talk about all the things that you guys are enjoying about in the next podcast. Yeah. Anyway,
Beautiful.
thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, brother.
God
No
bless you,
worries.
mate.
Thank you so much for having me.
Let's go.